Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the AOR Hyper Energy Season 4 Formula 2 Sprint League here on the PC. We're here for the streets of Monaco for what is hopefully going to be an exciting street race here tonight. First, before we jump into qualifying, the commentators here today will be myself, Rendtorff, and along with me in the commentary box, as always, we have Jacob Hancox. But let's just jump straight down as the drivers have rudely already made themselves halfway around the circuit through turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and now coming through the tunnel and into the Nouvelle chicane, coming just through there, hard braking before left, right and then left again on the exit before you come down to what is in the F1 cars a flat out to back, but here in these cars that would be quite unwise to do so. Then coming down to Piscine before just making their way through that almost sweeping left-hander before Rasgas, the right-hander there, where we might see some dive bombs come today before the last right-hander of Anthony Noge, and up to the line they go. McCree's already crossed the line and he takes pole position with a 1:19.4, Flash in second place, and I believe that was Richie B as it comes up there, gets third place.
Yeah, so I was on board with Flash for that, and actually it was interesting because I was wanting to see how he'd fare relative to Macri. Definitely the two championship front runners at the moment, though Flash has the advantage by an order of about 25 points in the championship, so definitely big advantage for him. However, Macri has gained 4 of those points back by taking pole position here today. Flash actually had a big moment in the Casino Square over the bump. He almost lost the car entirely and had to completely get out of it. So he did well, and he was purple throughout the remainder of the lap. So without that mistake, we probably could have seen a very, very close qualifying between them indeed. I'm not surprised to see the field spread out quite as thinly as it is because, yeah, this track definitely separates the wheat from the chaff, and those who have practiced from those who haven't.
Yes, certainly, and you mentioned the bump at Casino, and that's going to be an interesting thing to observe here tonight if you want to go straight over the bump and risk losing your car but just gain a couple of extra meters, or you decide to go around and make it a smooth run down to Mirabeau, or and then just not risk your car flying out, and you might lose a couple of thousandths, but it's that extra risk. Some drivers prefer to go over, others decide to go round as they're just readying up for the formation lap, and then we'll get into the feature race here tonight.
Yeah, about the bump, it is a kind of matter of taste when it comes to the F1 cars, at least. Most of them can actually clear the bump kind of no problem, as long as you're prepared for it, you're ready for what it might throw at you. Some people still prefer to veer around it, but in the F2 cars, I think it's actually rather more important that you do try and avoid the bump. If you can, you will lose more time. The car will be less capable of dealing with the bump than the F1 cars would be. Also, one quick thing to note, as you might be seeing on some of these cars, we do see some purple walled tyres. They are not ultra softs, they are super softs. And then the red walled tyres are the softs. These are the F2 tyres. They're slightly different from the F1 range of tyres available, and that is why the purple walled super softs make an appearance here.
Yeah, and just looking at what the tyre strategy might be. We're seeing a couple of drivers deciding to go for the soft tyre instead of the super soft. Those drivers are Richie B, Tudor and Neil Bywater, or going for that reverse strategy. And for drivers like Richie B and Tudor, who are all the way up in 3rd and 4th, that could really be something to look out for come the latter stages of this Grand Prix, when the super soft runners have come into the pits and they're on a soft tyre set, when the others then switch on to a set of super soft tyres.
Yeah, interesting thing to note is Dominic down in P13, currently sitting 8th in the championship as the German driver, but he has missed one weekend, so he'd be a bit higher up if he'd been able to claim his points there. He's looked like a comfortable sort of upper midfield runner thus far this season, and he actually was disqualified from qualifying, which probably means that he either crashed into the wall or that he corner cut somewhere, probably around this sort of part of the track. This is the easiest part to corner cut, this left-hander right here, and that may well be why we're seeing Dominic right at the back of the order. Similar story for Lasher, but I definitely expect to see Dominic further up under usual circumstances, but he may well get bogged down in the traffic because, of course, this is Monaco.
Yes, certainly. It's a very hard track to overtake at, but we hope that we'll get some action here today for the 21 lap feature race that is coming up now.
Alright then, keep your eyes peeled at the front of the grid. The lights will come on, they'll go out, and then we'll wait for them to go up for the cars as well. Just a little bit of an extra hold, very long hold in fact, and there we are now underway. Looks like a poor start for Tudor starting down in P4. Sebs has already got up his inside, and meanwhile Flash has gone past his championship rival into turn 1. Great start from the German in the ART. Richie B's held on to 3rd, and Tudor has made up for his poor start with a good attempt into turn 1 to force Sebster to settle back down for P5. Meanwhile, further down the order, Dominic's already up to P10, and he's battling with Steve Jackson in the Univirtuosi, who will cede the position to Dominic. So good stuff from the second Prema driver at the moment. Fizzymon also with a good start. Started in 11th and now challenging for 7th with Ace Rees on his inside. BioLite gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Lasher, and they are both right towards the back of the order. BioLite at the very back, so evidently something very wrong going on between those two.
Yeah, I think there was some contact between them coming out of Casino. As I can see there, BioLite's front wing isn't looking in the best shape on one side, and neither is Lasher. So I think they might have had some contact and been around for a bit, but that has been cleared now. They will come into the pits, and they'll be quite far down the order. But further up ahead, McCree's still able to follow Flash here, something that he might need to get used to here for this Grand Prix. But he will have an opportunity maybe coming into turn 1 here. He's not too far behind, but unfortunately Flash there setting the fastest lap, of course, as you do on lap 1, but McCree bit too far back. Tudor as well, further down. What about Fizzymon? Not close enough either, and so isn't anyone else.
Sorry, further down the order, Neil Bywater just went into the wall on the exit of Sander Vott, and now Dominic is absolutely all over his case. He'd been harrying the Dams driver for half a lap at least. He's definitely looking to regain the positions he lost by getting disqualified from qualifying. He goes directly over the bump to try and take a different line through Mirabeau to Neil Bywater, but the Dams driver has the inside and therefore will not be passed this time around. Dominic going to be a bit frustrated now in the cockpit of that Prema, as he'd be hoping to get past Neil Bywater, who himself goes into Fizzymon there. Fizzymon almost spinning round as he was slow on the exit of the Lowe's hairpin. But Neil Bywater giving that position back to Fizzymon, letting him drive on ahead. They've lost some time to Ace Rees, who's now got some breathing room. And here comes Dominic up the inside into the Nouvelle chicane. It looks like he's been able to get the move done, as Neil Bywater has had to skip the chicane as well. Slows down to ensure that he doesn't get a penalty, and in doing so loses an extra position to Steve Jackson.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for him. Rich B further ahead, picked up a 3-second time penalty. So someone's round might have that.
Yeah,
been...
that's Neil Bywater in the swimming pool section. He's just gone hard right, actually. It was sort of an interesting point. I wouldn't expect it to be able to lose the car there, but he's managed it. And yeah, into the wall, but I don't think he picked up any front wing damage.
Oh, actually jumping on his outside. I thought I saw some as he was coming, into turn 1 there.
Oh, yeah, you're
on
right.
his right side. That front wing isn't looking in the best of shapes. Interesting is, though, if he wants to carry on or if he decides to come into the pits. Slash now gets a 3-second time penalty, so the drivers obviously having some difficulties here and there keeping themselves off the curbs.
Yeah, Neil Bywater is interesting because you said it would be interesting to see whether he decides to come into the pits or not. He had the opportunity to come into the pits. He knew the extent of his damage when he last went past the pit lane. However, he decided that he wanted to stay out. Of course, he's on those soft tyres, so he wants to take them a fair way into the race. So this front wing damage is doubly bad for him as lashes into the pits for the second time. Fizzymon getting really deep on the brakes before the Nouvelle Chicane has been closing down Ace Rees consistently, definitely faster than Ace Rees up ahead in the, the Charouz car, I believe Ace Rees is in. And now Dominic actually might be looking to take advantage of Fizzymon, who's had a scruffy half a lap, and as a result has the Prema looking to go around the outside into Raskas, but he holds the position for now in the Carlin. Through Anthony Noge they go. As long as Fizzymon gets a good run through here, there'll be no opportunity for Dominic, and that is very much the case. Ace Rees with a little bit of breathing space now from the Carlin behind, but the American will be looking to close down that gap as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, the thing to look at here was that Dominic had the DRS wide open. That has been enabled, as always left the session. There might be some connection issues for him, but his DRS was wide open, and Monaco is one of the few tracks on the calendar with only one DRS zone, but unfortunately that is down the start-finish straight, a place where even with the DRS, it doesn't really give too much. It's mostly through the tunnel that we see stuff, as Sebster, he was close, but just sticking it behind there is Tudor. Oh my, another driver to just cut a bit too much of the Nouvelle Chicane and get a time penalty, and it looks like it has slowed him a bit down there. Sebster is now really almost pushing him through the swimming pool section.
Yeah, the Supersofts still have the advantage at this stage of the race, and Sebster has been close behind Tudor for a while now. Tudor, in turn, falling away from Richie B, who's doing an excellent job, by the way, in the MP Motorsport car to keep up with the two race leaders on those faster purple Supersoft tyres. So Richie B definitely looking strong at this stage of the race. Tudor a little bit less so, but he's keeping the leaders just about in sight. That penalty will not be helping his cause, though, because track position can be everything around here. But if you've got a penalty, you no longer really have track position at all.
No, certainly not. And it's also a track where it's really hard to pull away from the driver behind. As you can just see here in front, this train, Flash, McCree and Richie B, they're all just 1, 2 and 3 so ever close to each other, but unable to find a way past. So if there's just one in front that's a bit slow, then everyone behind will be a bit slow because they can't get past. Normally we see this as a DRS train, but here at Monaco it's simply because the walls are too close, and you don't really want to go 2 by 2 through a corner, because that'll not only make your race quite compromised since you risk hitting the wall, but also the driver you're battling with.
Yeah, Ace Rees in P7 at the moment has fallen 12 seconds away from the rest of the field, causing a big chasm to open up there, and that's got to be so frustrating for Fizzymon and for Dominic's Ghost, who is still actually faster than Ace Rees at this stage, because he's still all over the back of the Carlin up ahead, who is of course going to the pace of that Charouz in P7. So yeah, that's a bit of a testament when Dominic can lag out and still be looking very, very much on the pace of Ace Rees up ahead. So yeah, the Charouz car definitely not working very well for the Welshman right now, and he's under a lot of pressure, and Fizzymon's got to be so upset in that cockpit right now. He'll just oh look, there it is. I said he was going to be upset, and that was an attempt into turn one. It wasn't a very good attempt, and unfortunately he loses out to the Ghost of Dominic's past, who makes his way up into P8.
Yeah, he was just trying to find his way down the inside, but just had a bit too much closing speed. I don't think he knew how much he actually had, and then he just hit the rear end. Luckily didn't spin Ace Rees round, but himself got quite far into turn one there, and unfortunately lost the position to Dominic's Ghost.
Further up the order now, Tudor was actually starting to close the gap between himself and the leaders, but he made a little bit of a small mistake through the Nouvelle Chicane and lost about half a second once more. but he actually is starting to be on better pace than the front runners. I think we might be seeing now just about the switchover point between those super soft tyres and the soft tyres, and Flash confirms that by heading into the pits very early indeed to get rid of those purple tyres and to strap on a set of the reds instead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out. I think he'll make his way out of the pits way in front of Adries. There's Adries hit the wall and had to go into the pits there immediately as he came through there, and you'll have to do a front wing change. So Flash out in front of what is now Fissimon, down in 6th place. Not too far away from the drivers in front, and I think that is going to be really interesting for the rest of the race in terms of the drivers in front, especially the ones that are already on the soft tyre from the start.
Yeah, this is so nice for Flash, though, that he has that huge gap in which just to push now and to make sure he can retain track position no matter what Macri and Richie B are able to do. Because sure, Richie might have the better tyres at the end of the race, same for Tudor, but what can they do? It's Monaco. There's no way they're going to be able to get past unless the cars in front make a mistake. So Flash should have this race in the bag now, as long as he keeps his head cool, he doesn't pick up any penalties, and he doesn't make any mistakes. This is absolutely his race to lose right now. Also want to keep an eye on Fissimon, who now he's been freed from the clutches of Ace Reeves, who's come into the pits. It'll be interesting to see quite how much faster he's going to be able to go at this stage of the race. Macri and Darius respond to Flash's pit stop by both coming into the pits themselves. Same for Sebster as well. So these super soft tyres falling off in a big way right now. No one wants to be on them anymore. Red, very much the new purple here. And there is Macri coming out of the pits, and Flash going straight on past and retaining what is currently the de facto race lead, but only just.
Yeah, you must say, and now there's 16 seconds up to Tudor, and there'll be just over 18 up to Richie B in first. So in not too long, we'll be seeing how that forms out, as Flash is in the clean air. He won't be having to think about defending too much here around Monaco, so he can still just push and look ahead. Of course, don't make any mistakes into any corners, but he can push and close that gap as much as possible.
Yeah, Fissimon also came into the pits to get rid of the super soft tyres. So did Dominic's Ghost, and Steve Jackson's also come onto the pits for a fresh set of soft tyres, although he started, I think it was him. Did he start on the soft tyres, or maybe it was Neil Bywater? Either way, one of those starting on the soft tyres. They've now changed tyres, both of them. And I think everyone in the race, with the exceptions of Richie B and Tudor, have now pitted, as Richie B leading the way and going purple with a faster lap time than he has managed all race, and a faster lap time than anyone else has managed all race. So he, now that he is unleashed at the front, what can he do? If he can manage better pace on these 8-lap-old soft tyres, and as soon as I say that, Flash actually goes faster with his much fresher soft tyres. So that's a bit of a pipe dream, what I was going to say. But nevertheless, Richie B needs to keep himself in that gap between Macri and Sebster. He cannot afford come out of the pits behind Sebster, and that is absolutely the target, both for himself and for Tudor now.
Yeah, I've just been looking at that gap. I have the leader gap up, and it's just cycling around 19.2.
That's Macri. Sorry to cut you off there. Macri making the move into the hairpin, and he's actually bumped his way past Flash. I was thinking we haven't seen a Macri moment quite yet, but there it is. Flash probably not going to be too happy about that one. Macri definitely using the ART to slow himself down a little bit, but you've got to get your elbows out in Monaco, otherwise you're never going to pass anyone. And as far as I'm concerned, that move looked all fair to me.
Interesting to see McCree getting past, and great to see that he's still there with the fighting spirit. And I was saying before, the leader gap wasn't going down. It was sitting at 19.2 to 18.9, but now that McCree's in front, he is catching and catching. He is in the last lap, or just since he got past Tudor, he has caught almost a second off that gap up to Richie B. If you look at the leader times. So McCree there setting a purple lap time even though he was in the battle with Tudor. So McCree is really showing that he has some pace here on those fresh soft tyres, and that Flash behind, he might not have had the pace that McCree wanted.
Yeah, definitely. We're now seeing McCree's pace for the first time this race, apart from his in-lap on an old set of super soft tyres. And his in-lap on that set of super soft tyres was pretty similar in time to Flash's out-lap. So he definitely has a lot of pace around here, and he wants to prove that he is the better driver. Flash may be leading the championship, but Macri reckons he's faster. And I gotta say, at most tracks I tend to agree with him, but he just doesn't have the cleanliness, doesn't have the consistency that Flash has in the ART. But right now, all he needs is to keep it on the island, and that has often been a big challenge for Macri in the Campos, but he's got so much of a gap right now, he doesn't have to worry about battling any other cars now that he's made that move on Flash. So all he has to do is keep it away from the walls, which is easier said than done around here, and also keeping himself away from picking up any penalties.
Yes, he's coming up to lap Biolite now. And just, I saw that he was putting purple in 1 and 2. What about 3? Yeah, it's a new fastest lap, 121.0. So McCree really just out there pushing as much as possible to try and close that gap down. It's now down to 16.7, and it's falling further and further. So I think that he'll be pretty set to take the position away from Richie B once he pits, as there was just some yellow flags behind.
That was Biolite spinning out in P12 in the Casino Square there. If ghosting hadn't been enabled, that could have been a hairy moment for Macri, but as things were, it didn't make a difference, and actually just made it a little bit easier to get past the car he was going to lap anyway.
Yeah, unfortunate to see for Biolite, his race has just turned from bad to worse. He's all the way down in 12th place, 1 lap behind Richie B, and with quite the gap, 35 seconds up to Steve Jackson in 11th. So he is just hoping that he can get some redemption in the sprint race coming after this.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. And speaking of the sprint race, at the moment, Ace Series is the car who is looking most likely to take reverse grid pole. Currently sitting in P8, has Dominic all over his case, but that is still the ghost of Dominic. That's not the real thing. So I don't think he's going to be taking pole position in the next race, as Ace Series has a major moment through Portier. But yeah, Ace Series, it'll be interesting if that does happen, because Ace Series is really well off the pace around here. Nowhere near the pace of the front runners or pretty much the rest of the midfield either, other than the cars behind. So it'll be very interesting to see how well he can hold on to track position in the sprint race if he does start from the very front of the grid.
Yeah, because you have to remember, he has the drivers like McCree behind him that just wants to get past. They want points, and especially McCree, because he's sitting here with Flash and Richie B still in the, well, not so much Richie B, he has that penalty, but he has Flash behind him. Flash is leading the championship, and McCree wants to take all the points he can get to catch back up. So if Ace Series is sitting in front there, there goes Dominic. The ghost of Dominic still there, able to fight. But the drivers like McCree will just want to get past, and if Ace Series is sitting in front and making a huge train, I'm not sure McCree wants to do that. I am sure he just wants to get past and up into some clean air.
Yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see that dynamic unfold in the race itself as Macri goes even faster. Into the 120s we go now, a 128.38, and he is dropping Flash as if he's smells rather bad and wants to get rid of him. I don't know, could have done a better job with that one, but nevertheless, Macri is doing an excellent job right now, as he's 4.7 seconds ahead of the championship leader, and that gap is only growing. It was only a couple of laps ago that the Italian made his way past the German for what will become the race lead once Richie B and Tudor pit. And yeah, honestly, Macri is looking to really start to sort of dishearten Flash, trying to get a bit of a morale victory here, because Flash at the moment has everything to lose and Macri has everything to gain. And if he can demonstrate that I am so much faster than you around here, then maybe that will just get a little bit disheartening for Flash, and it might cause him to make a couple of mistakes when it comes to the sprint race, or just throughout the season. He'll be looking over his shoulder, where is Macri? Can he do this to me again or not?
Yeah, of course, Flash sitting back now and just looking at how his pace has just withered away, as now we're seeing Tudor pit the first of the soft, well, one of the two remaining soft runners. Here he will come out behind Flash. Will he get out behind Sebster? Looks like it. What about Darius? Looks like Darius is just a bit too far behind. So Tudor out behind Sebster. He'll come out in 5th place. Now we'll just be waiting for Richie B. And I'm guessing, looking at when Tudor came in, that he will be coming in this lap or next lap. And then we'll see where he files out compared to the drivers behind. The gap down to Flash will be around 16 seconds, almost 17. So it'll be quite close there for 3rd place, 3rd or 2nd place. But I think we can conclude quite easily that McCree will take the lead if he doesn't go into the wall. As here goes Richie B into the pits he comes. Now let's just look.
I fear for Richie B that he might well come out behind Sebster right now. 8.7 seconds between Sebster and Tudor. I believe the gap between Tudor and Richie B was sitting at around 6 seconds, but I'm not certain of that. As now here is Richie B with the MP Motorsport boys getting to work, getting rid of the red tires and bringing on those super softs, which will be so quick to the end of the race. But it won't matter if he can't get out ahead of Sebster. There they are now on the pit exit, and it looks like Sebster's got it in the Arden. He's got to go all the long way around turn 1, and there they are side by side up the hill. But that's going to be Sebster taking the podium position away. And now it's all on Richie B to try and fight back. He's got to find his opportunity, but he can't send a lunge up willy-nilly, and he's got to wait for Sebster to make a mistake. He's got to bide his time right now and know that he can't hope for P2. He can't hope for P1. The best he can do is try and get past Sebster, so he doesn't need to rush it. He's got a few laps left in which to try and make his way past the Arden up ahead, who has a bit of a moment on the exit of the hairpin, and that'll give Richie B some hope here. Maybe Sebster feeling the pressure of the Dutchman behind right now.
Yeah, Richie B on those quicker tyres. What he risks doing, though, if he sticks behind for too long, is that his tyres will overheat. Now, coming into the Nouvelle chicane, he doesn't go for the move this time round. But, into Tabac there, he had the look. It's a very cheeky place to go for it in F2, even in F1. So, it would have been a bit hairy if he did, but sticks behind for now. What about into Rasgas? No, a bit too far back. Doesn't go for any gaps. Coming up to Steve Jackson to lap him now. That means that Sebster, no, doesn't get the DRS. I thought for a second he might have gotten it, but behind comes Richie B. He does have the DRS, but again, just a bit too far back. Up the hill they go now.
Tudor should be closing in on this battle pretty quickly, as well as he sets the fastest lap of the race to emphasize my point. Sebster's no slouch. He's actually closing in on Flash just a little bit in this stage of the race. The fight has gone out of the German in P2, but the German in P3 in the pink Arden is definitely still pushing, and desperately so now, with Richie B just behind. The hairpin is one of the best opportunities, but Richie B nowhere near close enough through Mirabeau this time around. As I think that was Fizzymon picking up a 3-second time penalty, but he doesn't have to worry too much about that. 18 seconds ahead of him, 15 seconds behind. He is on an absolute island in this race at the moment. Through the tunnel we go now with Richie B and Sebster, and he's closer this time than he was one lap ago. He looks to the inside, gives Sebster something to think about, but doesn't go for the move. He was too far back that time around. Not as close on the exit, and therefore can't think about a move into Tabac. Tabac actually a bit more of a viable overtaking opportunity here compared to an F1, because of course the braking zone is extended because you have to take the corner that much more slowly. But it's still very, very hard. Indeed, Sebster almost losing it there, locking the rears through Raskas, and that's going to leave him under heavy pressure now from Richie B. Here we go in the DRS zone into Sandevot. There's going to have to be some heroics if the Dutchman wants P3. He's going for the switch back up the hill, but Sebster parks it on the apex, leaving Richie B no option but to get out of the throttle for just a moment there. There's only just enough space for two cars, but Richie B has found it on the inside, but around the outside goes Sebster. He's holding on. Into Casino Square we go. They're still side by side. Sebster has the line into Mirabeau, and he has P3 still. Will Richie B make a move into the hairpin? No, he will not. But wow, this is getting pretty close now.
Oh, as there's Lasher's retired, and there's yellow down at the bottom. It's either a virtual safety car or no, it's a full safety car. Just looking at the board above, I can see a full safety car has been deployed, which is interesting. Lasher's retirement, I think it's on the exit of Tabac. I might be able to, yes, there, on board with Flash. Oh, his car just got removed. But on the exit of Tabac, it is very understandable that the safety car has been called. Lasher was having a very difficult race. I was following along on his penalties, and I think he's leading the World Championship for the most penalties. As there was a couple of 10 seconds, quite a few 3 seconds, and a couple of 5 seconds as well. So he was doing a good job down in P13, as McCree and Flash are now coming up to line up behind the safety car.
So Neil Bywater did head into the pits under the safety car. Seems like no one else has taken the opportunity. Darius coming through around to the pit lane now. Will he dive into the pits? No, he will not. So he's not looking to improve on P6 very much at the moment. Will Fizzymon, because he's got a free pit stop's worth of space behind him as well. Acery's nowhere near the American at the moment in the Carlin. Fizzymon, will he go into the pits? Will he have a fresh set of super soft tyres available? He does. Okay, into the pits we go with Fizzymon then. So he's the one to pull the trigger and to think about making some moves towards the end of this race. Darius might well live to regret the decision to stay out. The Czech driver in the ART will be vulnerable to Fizzymon behind, but only as vulnerable as anyone can be in Monaco. And I think Dominic just rejoined the race, and his AI car has actually kept him in almost exactly the same position he was when he left. So, yeah, that's not the end of the world for him. He's still stuck behind Aceries, though.
Yeah, but Fizzymon, I think he had a 5-second penalty or something like that because he was held back in the pit lane for a while. Or might have been a front wing change. The camera didn't allow me to see it properly. But he's coming out in 9th place now, behind Aceries and Darius, and Dominic there. Dominic, as you said, has rejoined. So that is going to be interesting to see if he can get past and get the reverse grid pole position. Of course, everyone will be bunched up, and I am unsure how long they'll have. They'll either have 1 or 2 laps to go before the checkered flag. So it's going to be a sprint. A literal sprint to the finish line.
A sprint to decide the grid for the sprint, if you will. But yeah, no, definitely an actual sprint to the line here. Interesting timing of the safety car as Richie V almost careens into the back of Sebster into Mirabeau there. Had to lock up pretty hard to avoid the rear wing of the Pink Arden up ahead. But yeah, Richie V was just getting lively, just thinking about making that move on Sebster. But now this has given Sebster the opportunity, keeps the pressure off him for a couple more laps, gives him less time to have to defend, to have to keep the Dutchman in the Dutch car behind. However, Tudor has been able to close up as well, though he still has that 3-second time penalty to his name. And yeah, the incident for Lasher, I didn't see it, but I can imagine exactly what happened. If you take too much speed into Tabac, you can just absolutely wipe out your right front tyre on the wall on the exit there. As you see, it's very much one of the most unforgiving parts of Monaco, as the safety car will be in this lap indeed.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting for the drivers. A couple of drivers not having caught up to the safety car, but McCree will still be leading the way as the safety car files into the pit there. McCree is now the sole leader. He'll decide when to put the power down, and looks like he's done it early. Already flat out down the straight, but look at Flash. Flash will be coming from behind. He's close. There's green flags now into turn 1, but he isn't able to go for it. What about further down? Any drivers able to go for it? Doesn't look like it. It's only, I believe, the top 6 that's able to go for positions. The rest are all the way back round, still in the tunnel, almost taken by a lap now. But Flash is close to McCree here. There's 1.5 laps to go, as there McCree locks up a bit into Mirabeau. Into the chicane they go. McCree goes defensive. Flash round the outside, isn't able to hold it. Fizzymon and Dominic fighting further down for 8th place. Fizzymon not able to get past this time around. Neither is Flash. They come into the tunnel.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens with Dominic, because he's not been in the car for the vast majority of this race, so I'd be surprised if he's allowed to keep the points for this race. But he might have to be forced to... Oh, no, never mind, that's Richie B up the inside. I'll talk about that in a moment. As he goes side-by-side with Sebster, forces the Arden off track, and Sebster picks up a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. So that's going to be a bit of a controversial one there, because it looked to me like Sebster was given no option but to cut over the inside of the chicane by Richie B in the MP Motorsport car there. Meanwhile, further down, Ace Rees has spun out through, I think that is San Devot. And as a result, Dominic and Fizzymon have both made their way past. Fizzymon's actually fallen well back as well. So I wonder if he was collected in some way by Ace Rees or involved in the incident. Never mind that, though. As back up towards the front, it's now Richie B in third with Sebster and Tudor behind. And right up at the very front, I was very surprised to see Flash backing out of the potential move into turn one there after what Macri did to him into the hairpin. I would have thought he would have been desperate to lunge it straight back up, and that was definitely his best opportunity to claim victory in this feature race.
Yeah, because look at this, we're on the final lap, he's 1.3 seconds behind. I will find it very unlikely for him to get past unless McCree does what Lasher did at to back. As they're coming through the tunnel now, you can see already disappeared through the kink there as they come down the hill. McCree has taken it there, almost overtaken. I think that is Dominic up ahead, almost taken, as you know, must be Ace Rees, almost taking them with the lap there. Very interesting to see. But now McCree will be coming in to Raskas before into to Knowles for the final time in the feature race. Coming up to the line, sees the checkered flag first and takes the win. Flash in second round, coming through the hairpin. So is Fissimon right behind, as Neil Bywater, Steve Jackson and Bylight will be finishing it all now. Bylight spinning through Raskas, but only missing 3 drivers. It's Dominic, Fissimon and Ace Rees. All of them almost a lap down there, as you saw once the drivers were finishing. But we were almost seeing a battle for 7th, 8th and 9th, but unfortunately Ace Rees a small spin and the subsequent contact that Fissimon might have had in that incident has caused that battle to fizz out of it. And that means that Fissimon will take reverse grid pole position unless Dominic has any penalties.
I'd be surprised given that his AI car has been the one driving around. In fact, Fissimon had a penalty of his own, so falls even further behind the Prema. But yeah, it's an interesting case actually here, Dominic, because he wasn't here for over half of the race, I would say. It was his AI car driving around. He's rejoined, reclaimed his seat, and will now be starting from P2 on the grid in the sprint race. But I don't think he'll be allowed to claim points for this race, based on the fact that he's driver of the day as well. Based on the fact that he didn't complete over, it wasn't actually him completing the majority of the race. I'm not certain about how exactly that rule works when applied to F2, with the, of course, the grid being decided by the results of the feature race. I don't think there's anything that can be done other than remaking the lobby entirely, and I don't think anyone's planning on doing that. So he will be starting from P2, so he still gets a bit of an opportunity here with Fizzymon alongside. And we won't get to see what exactly would have happened if Ace Rees was going to lead the way, because he ended up finishing P9, did claim some points, same for Neil Bywater, who finished in 10th in the Dams. But it was Macri who won the race, and a deserving winner in the end, lost out at the very opening corner of the race to Flash, but bided his time, made the move into the hairpin, and then managed to defend from Flash after the safety car came out as well.
Yep, looking further down, Tudor taking the fastest lap within the top 10, so he does get the 2 extra points. Of course, not just a single one like in F1, he get 2, so jumping up from 8 to 10 points for his race, doing very well down in 6th place. Further down, we're also seeing Neil Bywater pick up the final points, and Fissimon takes the reverse grid pole position. Of course, the sprint race is going to be a bit shorter. It's only going to be points for top 8, so a couple of the drivers outside, like Lasher, as you can see, 38 seconds worth of penalties. Well done to him. He will certainly be hoping to pick up some positions, but fair play, 38 seconds. That is hard to get at Monaco.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe saved the infamy of being disqualified for penalty accumulation by slamming into the wall. Probably the better way to end, in all honesty. But yeah, starting from the back, it'd be interesting to see whether he can make up for what was a rather poor feature race. As he's not been looking too bad in the last couple of races, to be honest. But yeah, not on form in Monaco, and I feel that because in Monaco I'm a lot worse than I am everywhere else. So especially if you're driving on a pad, it's so difficult to find your way around Monaco. You can't even make it around the hairpin properly. You have to go incredibly slow, so much slower. You lose about half a second every lap in the F1 cars, and I imagine that might be even worse in the F2s.
Yeah, now as the drivers coming here for the sprint race. Of course, in the sprint race, you do not have to make a pit stop. Therefore, we see normally most of the drivers, but in this case, all the drivers pick one tyre, the hardest tyre, to go through the whole race, since the tyres are so durable, and they only have to do 15 laps on a set of soft tyres around Monaco. That should be easy, some would say, but of course the wall's so tight. We saw it in the feature race. These drivers could hit their front wing, and some drivers sometimes, I've at least seen before, almost counting on it and therefore choosing another strategy, almost thinking that they will pit for the sprint race. But in this case, all the drivers believing that they can keep it clean and go the whole distance on the soft tyre.
Well, let's hope they're right. Yeah, interestingly, by the way, something I did notice but failed to mention until now is that Tudor actually picked up a second 3-second time penalty on the last lap of the feature race, and that's what caused him to lose the position to Darius, because Darius was about 4.9 seconds behind Tudor when they came across the line. But the Romanian in the Prema picked up that extra penalty on the last lap, and that meant that he will be starting from P3 rather than P4 here, but he doesn't get as many points in the feature race as he would have been hoping. However, if he can turn P3 into a race win here, I think he won't mind that too much.
No, certainly not. It is still a podium, of course, and it's points as a couple of drivers there, Flash and McCree, just letting it flow over from the feature race into the sprint race. Luckily, only on the formation lap, but that might be a sign of things to come for the race itself, as all the drivers now filing on to the start-finish straight and into their grid boxes before the 5 red lights come on.
Here they are then, the 5 red lights for the second time this Saturday here in Monaco. They go out, we wait, because they're not out for the drivers just yet, and now we are underway. Looks like a great start for one of the ARTs towards the back there. Meanwhile, up at the front, it is Fizimon comfortably, still leading from pole. Meanwhile, Tudor challenging his teammate Dominic into turn 1, but Dominic just about holding the line and holding the position as well. It's still Fizimon, Dominic, Tudor, Darius, Sebster, Richie B. Macri has gone up, and Flash has fallen down towards P10. So I said they looked like an ART going well in the background. I think I was wrong, because he's actually fallen down. Oh, wow, there's a bit of a traffic jam into Mirabeau there. That looks like Aceries, who is the main culprit there. Virtual safety car coming out. And yeah, I think it was actually Aceries that had the good starts off the line, because I think it was the Charouz car, which looks an awful lot like the ART. And Flash actually had a very poor start, falling down into P10 initially, now with Aceries' demise into P9. But yeah, definitely falling further behind Macri than he would like.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him, and that means that Flash is now outside the points-paying positions.
Flash has front wing damage as well.
Yeah.
He must have gone into Aceries. He was running behind Aceries when the Welshman went into the wall, and the virtual safety car doesn't even last long enough for Flash to get his half-price pit stop, and he has got a lot of front wing damage as well, so I'd expect to see him into the pits at the end of this lap. Trouble is, a set of super softs, a fresh set of super softs, will probably not last you to the end of the race at this stage, so he's going to have to stay out. Neil Bywater goes in. He must have picked up front wing damage in the same incident as well. Same story for Steve Jackson. Further back up at the front, it's still Fizzymon from Dominic from Tudor, the two Pramers, looking to try and do something about the lead of the Carlin up ahead. Further back, Richie B and Sebster are battling, and it's the Dutchman getting the advantage as Sebster falls down into P6. Richie B up into P5, making moves in the MP Motorsport car, and Darius is next in his sights.
Richie B hoping to pick up some extra points for the championship now that Flash is outside or just inside the points paying positions, but most likely having to pit once in this Grand Prix, and McCree down in 7th place. So Richie B really wanting to pick up some points. He's currently 3rd in the championship, 1 point behind McCree. Yellow flag sector 3, that must be for Steve Jackson on the pit exit. I hope he hasn't lost more of his front wing there, as Richie B almost pushing Darius through the Nouvelle Chicane as Steve Jackson retires from the Grand Prix. What have happened to him? Another virtual safety car has come out here on lap 2. So, not quite sure what happened to Steve Jackson. Here on the map you can see he's just gone straight ahead in turn 1.
I watched the little yellow dot on the minimap and it went awfully fast into the wall in turn 1. So either there's some sort of hardware issue or he has binned that one on purpose and brought out the virtual safety car in doing so. But yeah, not the finest moment there for Steve Jackson in the Uni Virtuosi. So the virtual safety car will just neutralize the race for a little bit. No one going to take the opportunity to pit apart from Ace Rees, who is right down towards the bottom of the runners anyway. He has that front wing damage, of course, on that incident when he went into the wall in Mirabeau, causing a little bit of a pile-up behind himself. Not sure if he received a tap from the rear or not in that one. But regardless, the end result is the same. Flash didn't come into the pit, still struggling out there at the moment, struggling on bravely with that front wing damage, but that is going to be hindering him significantly, as you can see the gap between himself and McCree.
Yeah, Flash currently just looking for one thing and one thing only, and that is the walls of Monaco staying close, and the other drivers having a hard time to overtake him. So I think what Flash might do is that he might run the whole race with his front wing damage and then just take the sole point and hope that no one can get past him, because he has now had a virtual safety car to pit and he's stayed out. So his only option, unless he wants to lose large amounts of time, is to stay out.
Yeah, he's falling further away from Pino Macri right now, though. The idea, I'm sure, for him is that these guys will all be in a trainers. It looks like the Pramers are going side by side. Dominic must have had a poor exit of Anthony Noge, and as a result, Tudor will find the inside line for Sandevot, and he'll find P2 as well. Tudor now looking to claim the win in the reverse grid sprint race here. He started from P3. He's now dispatched his teammate, and he'll be looking to try and catch Fizzymon up ahead. But yeah, because these cars are going to be in such a close train, Flash has the opportunity in theory. All he needs to do is beat the pace of Fizzymon, the leader, to be able to stay with these guys. But he doesn't seem to quite be able to do that with the front wing damage that he's had, as he's falling further and further away from Macri, who himself is actually trying a move up the inside of Sebster. Tried to go up the inside of the hairpin, much like he did to Flash last time around. This time, Sebster not going to be falling prey to that one, though, as he battles back and keeps P6 for now.
Yeah, and just keeping an eye on Tudor, already gone within that second, already down to 5/10. So really, Dominic not having a lot of pace in that Prema.
Sebster just hit the inside of Tabak there, and that bounced him out to the outside wall as well. Not sure if he picked up any front wing damage or not in the Arden. It looks like not, actually. No, one end plate is missing.
Yeah, his right side end plate is missing, so that'll hurt him quite a bit. He'll have McCree behind now, and McCree will be looking to take the position possibly into turn 1. No. So into Sandevot, he's not close enough.
I think Dominic's picked up front wing damage as well, judging by his pace at the moment in the Prema. Doesn't have any visible damage, but he is struggling. You can see how much he's understeering through Massenet there, and Darius is definitely sniffing blood in the water. Same story for Richie B. But Dominic, ever since Tudor got past him, he has been falling well away. A 3-second gap is making this a 2-horse race for the win right now between Tudor and Fizimon. And Tudor definitely hoping to try and steal this one away from the American driver. Macri picking up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I think that must have been through the hairpin there, as he maybe tried to make the move on Sebster, much like he did a lap ago. This time, as last time, it hasn't worked.
Tudor almost went for the move there, just got pinned in a bit, but now he's going for it. Fizimon had a bad exit out of the Nouvelle chicane, and Tudor just snipped it down the inside and took first place further back. There's battling between Darius and Richie B. There was a bit of bumping into the wall there to back, but it looks like Richie B gone up into 4th place. Darius in 5th, further behind between McCree and Sebster. There might have been some contact as well. Sebster there getting pushed through Raskas and into Anthony Noge. They go.
Yeah, we're seeing Macri, I think, maybe getting a bit frustrated like we see so often. He's made contact with Sebster a few times now, basically just trying to push the Arden out of his way so he can make progress up the field. But an F2 reverse grid race in Monaco when you won the first race, I'm not sure that's exactly what Macri wants, and I'm not sure that's what he likes, as he's definitely going to have to be contending with traffic for the majority of this race. But meanwhile, up at the front, it is Tudor leading the way after a slightly disappointing feature race. P6, not good enough by his standards. He's currently sitting 4th in the championship, and he'll want to be keeping touch with the very front runners here after looking really promising towards the end of last season of the AOR F2 Sprint League. And this is a good opportunity for him to grab some very good points on the likes of Richie B, Macri and Flash, because they will have to contend with all this traffic behind. Richie B is doing a great job of that so far. He's already made 2 overtaking maneuvers around the city streets of Monaco in 6 laps, which is no mean feat, let me tell you. And now with an ailing Dominic up ahead, he might be in with a chance of taking the podium spot as well.
Yeah, now he'll be coming on to the start-finish straight. He is within DRS range. It's just a question if there's enough speed in that MP Motorsport to get past Dominic. Here he opens the DRS. He's very close. And Dominic going defensive, but not defensive enough. There's room down the inside, and he goes for it. Richie B, they're skating through turn 1, hitting the wall, creating a traffic jam behind. He goes up into 3rd place, but Darius behind now up into 4th. So is Sebster, and he's side by side through Massenet there. But Sebster going, just a bit of contact there between Dominic and himself. Dominic falling down after Richie B there. Went a bit too dark. Find McCree there in 6th place, trying to find room to go up into 5th, but just no, and their contact into the back of Sebster again. So Dominic falling from 3rd down to 7th in the span of 5 corners after that small turn 1 traffic jam, as Richie B skated through, hit the wall, lost part of his front wing, and just caused everyone behind him to have a large Constantina effect into each other.
Yeah, Macri sending his car into a space that was always going to close there into Mirabeau. He made the move on Dominic and tried to make it into a move on Sebster as well. Now Sebster does pick up a 3-second time penalty as soon as I mentioned his name. Dominic did a similar thing this lap as well, so that puts them even with Pino Macri. So he's now not at a penalty disadvantage to the cars immediately ahead and behind of himself. Sebster will be hoping to make a move on Darius, who's falling away from Richie B. Richie B himself, he'll be hoping to close down Fizimon, but the American's looking good in P2 in the Carlin at the moment. Tudor gapping him out at the front, and as long as he keeps his nose clean, this race win is all but his right now. Sebster, Macri, Darius, they're all so close on track right now. Macri setting it up the inside of Mirabeau again, and this time he does send Sebster around, and I tell you what, that was destined to happen throughout this race. That is about the 7th or 8th time that Macri has made contact with Sebster. Sebster is not going to be happy about that one, and Macri, I gotta say, that was poor driving.
Yeah, we've seen it before from Macri. He can sit behind a car for 1, maybe 2 laps max, and then he gets frustrated, then he wants to get past, then he makes moves like these. For multiple laps now, he's been in the back of Sebster, constantly pushing and having small bits of contact here and there, and it was bound to happen that he would send him round at one point, and that time's been now, as I think Lasher's been round down at the Nouvelle chicane. But now McCree up to Darius, then there's contact again. Not spinning him round or anything, no one losing any bits of their car. But McCree again, he's missing that patience. We've seen it time and time again. He has speed, no question about that. But his racecraft isn't there. He can't sit behind a car and wait for the perfect time to overtake. He sits behind and gets frustrated and then goes for stupid moves like he did on Sebster.
Yeah, this time it's actually worked out well for him, of course. He didn't pick up any damage and he got Sebster out of his way, and I'm sure that's all he cares about right now. But I think there's a penalty waiting for him once this goes to the stewards, assuming Sebster wants to report it. Now up the inside into the hairpin he goes. That time around that move, well, he's bumped Darius out of the way, but I think that's just about okay. From the Italian, who moves himself up in a P4, and every position he gains, it's just another knife in the heart of Tudor and Richie B and Flash, because they will have been hoping that he would get mired down there towards the back of the order, as has happened to Flash, our current championship leader. So he's going to lose a hatful of points to Macri. Richie B and Tudor will have been hoping that they could catch up, or at least reduce some of the deficit in points this weekend to the Campos driver, but it's going to be fewer and fewer with every position that Macri gains. Currently up in a P4, I'd be surprised if he can do any more than that, but he has a lot of pace around here and you can't take that away from him.
No, you really can't. Made his way up into fourth. Now Flash further behind, still stuck between the likes of Dominic, but Tudor there, that speed, he's 3.8 seconds down to Fissimon, but Richie B, he will have to look out behind. Before this weekend, he was 1 point behind McCree, and I think he would have gained a couple of points. Yeah, he did in the feature race, and he's hoping that he can pick up some more here in the sprint race, as McCree has caught right up to the back of him now, and I think it's only a question of time before McCree's will try to find a way past him.
He's eviscerated that gap to Richie B. About a lap ago, that was 2.5 seconds. Now it is half a second. And look how much later on the brakes Macri is. Richie B tries to match him on the brakes, forces himself into a mistake and picks up a 3-second time penalty. One more of those and Macri will be in a position to regain the position. He goes into the back of Richie B. And this time it is Macri who falls by the wayside. And honestly, I'm not sure whether we can call that karma or not. But Macri falling down into P7. On that occasion, I'm not sure the incident was his mistake. Richie B actually made a mistake through Tabak. Richie himself going into the pits right now. So that's a really interesting call from the Dutchman. Evidently, he doesn't think he would have been able to keep the rest of the cars behind with the front wing damage that he had. But I think that's a poor decision in all honesty. He's not going to be able to make moves on the cars ahead. And he is throwing away crucial championship points right now. This puts Darius up onto the podium with Dominic not too far behind. And if I'm not mistaken, Darius actually just picked up his a 3-second time penalty. But Dominic has one as well. So they are also on a level playing field.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting to see if Dominic can find a way past Richie B. That's his second 3-second time penalty in just 2 laps. So really, his race went from quite good to quite bad, down into 8th place, and well, looks like he is going to hold on to it, but that is only going to be 1 point compared to the points that McCree will be picking up in 6th place, possibly a bit less. I don't think Sebster has a penalty, so if that carries on, then it'll be a bit more. No, he will just fall down into 7th place. So Richie B will lose a bit of points in this race, but not too much if it stays like this.
Yeah, but the fact that Macri and Richie B came together, the fact that they've both fallen down the order is great news for Tudor, and Macri pits from P6, so he's not happy with the state of his front wing either, decides that he cannot keep going around, cannot keep circulating with the damage that he had. He's going to strap on a fresh set of tyres and maybe even resume his battle with Richie B, which might be wiser if he didn't. But we'll have to wait and see about that, as I think Richie B's into the pits yet again. I'm not quite sure what that's about from the MP Motorsport driver. Has he crashed again? The Dutchman, it was a good feature race, and it looked to be a good sprint race for a while for him, but he's having a change for damage twice in as many laps. And after a really promising start to this race, it has gone downhill fast.
Yeah, so the only drivers really now looking to gain points is Tudor. Everyone behind has, or every one of the championship contenders behind has had misfortune here in the sprint race, so they're going to lose points. But Tudor looking to get a good point total, 6.2 seconds in front of Fissimon, plus Fissimon, I believe, has a single time penalty. So Tudor has what is effectively a 9-second gap behind. So that race win is looking quite safe in his hands if he can keep his nose clean for both penalties and from the wall. So he'll gain a couple of positions. He's 36 points behind Flash and 10 points up to Richie B right in front. So his charge back in the championship is looking promising with this victory.
Dominic's actually closed up the gap to Darius. The battle isn't over for P3. Dominic does have front wing damage, and I don't believe Darius has, but nevertheless, it is the Prema driver who is the faster of the two. Darius struggling a little bit in the ART up ahead, and now Flash in P5. He'll be getting a bit interested in this one, still carrying that front wing damage he's had for the whole race, but he's doing an admirable job of trying to keep his pace up, trying to keep his spirits up, and just keeping plugging away at it throughout the whole race. You saw Macri and Richie B, they got their front wing damage. They decided they had to pit. Flash did the opposite, and he is the one in the better position right now. Lasher retires from the session once again. This time it is through the Nouvelle Chicane, and Dominic's made his way past Darius, who's made a mistake, maybe lost his balance, lost his concentration as a result of seeing the Strecken dams up ahead, and now Dominic makes the mistake, and Flash actually goes back past. I think that's Dominic letting Flash back through, so I wonder if Dominic caused some sort of issue. Dominic actually really slow now, as he lets, he let Flash through, and then Darius as well, so he has to concede the position of both ARTs. I can only assume that Dominic feels that he did something to Darius that was unfair, and as a result wanted to let him back through, but in doing so was forced to let Flash through as well.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that that car didn't cause a safety car, but I believe with this late into the race it's not possible to deploy it, because that car was just stuck right across the track there, blocking everything. So thank God for the ghosting we see, but Lasher having a terrible weekend, DNFing both in the feature and the sprint race.
I've DNF'd there before in an AOR race, I can tell you that. You want to turn in, you want to maximize your line into the Nouvelle Chicane by just taking the tightest entry you possibly can, and then sometimes you just clip that inside barrier. It can catch you out, and it can just pop the tire off right there and then. And that's exactly what happened to Lasher. So I feel his pain on that one very much. Flash now up ahead of both his teammate Darius and Dominic as well. With that front wing damage, though, he still just about has the pace to keep them behind, and he's only got just over a lap to go, in which he will have to keep them behind himself. I don't think Flash has any time penalties either, whereas Darius and Dominic both do. Same for Sebster, same for Fizzymon as well. So Flash stands to be able to not lose any positions to the cars behind, even if he loses it on track.
Yeah, here Dominic into turn one right behind Darius, but not close enough. Darius also having the DRS from his teammate in front. Those two working well together to get their cars up to third and fourth, but looks like they will be able to just hold on for now on to the final lap here. Although saying that, Dominic, if Darius had gone over the bump and not to the inside there, I'm pretty sure Dominic would have gone for the move there into the chicane. He goes for it, and he has to ride that curb on the inside, meaning he gets a time penalty, as that's Sebster behind catching up to this fight. Sebster will now in the tunnel be looking for if he can get a move done here in the final lap. Is he able to into the Nouvelle Chicane? No. What about Dominic? No, he is neither. So Dominic having to stick behind Darius and Sebster behind Dominic. Now into Tabac, no one going for the move. Then into the swimming pool section through Piscine there. No. As there, Tudor crosses the line. He is well in front of Fissimon. He won't be crossing the line until right about now. Then it'll be Flash in front, then Darius, Dominic and Sebster. Let's see how it forms out in terms of the penalties as they come up to the line. There we go. Flash takes third, Darius fourth, Sebster fifth, Dominic in sixth. McCree coming through PC now through the swimming pool section. He will be coming up to Raskas for one final time before going through Anthony Noge. He's able to keep it clean on the inside with 27 seconds up to Dominic. Takes 7th position. Neil Bywater coming through Piscine, taking it nice and easy. He won't be having to worry about Aceries behind nor McCree in front, as positions at the back are just jumping around a bit due to some penalties. But we can say that Neil Bywater is taking 8th, Aceries 9th, Richie B will take 10th, and Bylight will take 11th. Lasher and Steve Jackson unfortunately not able to finish off the race.
Yeah, Neil Bywater taking the final point scoring position both in the feature race with P10 and now in the sprint race with P8. So 2 points this weekend for him, and that could prove valuable towards the bottom end of the championship. And Flash doing a good job in the end to get a podium finish and not lose. In fact, he's gained a significant amount of points back on Macri after losing out in the feature race to his Italian championship rival. But once again, it was Macri's impatience and just the fact that he was willing to battle. He had the aggression, but he didn't necessarily have the judgment to match it. That's cost him once more. Tudor, though, will be the one enjoying this race the most as he takes the victory after a clean race. And I tell you what, Fissimon is going to be feeling good as well. The American driver, in only his 4th race in the F2 Sprint Leagues, manages a podium after finishing 4th both times out last race. And no practice today, he let me know before the race, so he'll be feeling very, very good about that P2 indeed.
Yeah, now just waiting for the finishing screen, and we can see who won throughout the whole weekend. The game just loading it all up, calculating everything in the background so we don't have to, which is quite nicely of the game to do as we see it here. So the winner this weekend is McCree, taking 4 points for pole position, 25 in the feature race, taking 2 points in the sprint race, along with 2 points for the fastest lap. So 33 points for him. He is catching a bit in the championship, but Flash taking 28 points, and I believe that will keep his lead. Tudor takes 3rd place with 25 points. Sebster and Darius shared 4th with 18 each. Then Fissimon will take 6th with 16. Richie B will take 7th with 15. Then Dominic in 8th. And Aceries and Neil Bywater will take a joint 9th place, both with 2 points. Bylight, Lasher and Steve Jackson all scoring no points this weekend. But McCree catching just about 5 points in the championship, bringing that gap down to 20 points in total.
Yeah, it could have been more, though. It could have been more for the Italian driver, but he went into the pits. I don't know why. He had front wing damage, sure, but he was the fastest guy out there. He probably could have compensated for whatever damage he had. He could have kept the cars behind him. He lost out on a couple of positions by coming into the pits, I believe, and I think he could have scored some more points if he stayed out. Even more so for Richie B, who ended out outside of the points. When he had been running 3rd, he was still running, I think he was still running 3rd when he came into the pits, and I just don't know why he didn't stay out there, because these points could be critical for him. He's sitting P3 in the championship before this race weekend. He might have lost that to Tudor now. I think they're actually going to be even on points in the championship for P3, and both of them are very much hoping to keep Macri and Flash well within sight, because they still are in with a shout of the championship here. But decisions like that aren't going to be helping Richie B's cause one bit.
No, that is certainly a thing we can say for sure. These drivers sometimes taking decisions, or sometimes their team taking decisions that aren't the best. But that is all we're going to have time for here from Monaco. We won't be back next week. We'll have a small break, but after that we'll be back with another street circuit in 2 weeks' time for Baku for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But until then, have a good one, take care, and goodbye.